way colder in more ways than one. Joking.
And we are live.
Just kidding. Okay, so are we live now, no?
I don't know what this is. Oh, this is We Are VAXXED. Okay, We Are VAXXED is now
We Are
live
VAXXED
as well.
is now live. Periscope had a little bit of a private time on our own before, and we are now joined by Autism Mothers, YouTube. I think men tend to make coffee very, very, very strong. All right, so tell everybody your name.
I'm Beck.
Bex.
Sorry, I've got a very strong Kiwi accent.
Bex.
I'm Bex.
It's wonderful. We love it.
Yeah.
So this is Bex, and how many children have you got?
I have 3 boys. I have Billy, who's 10.
I've met Billy. He's wonderful.
Yes, he's wonderful. And I have Ollie, who's nearly 8. And I have Elias, who's 4.
All right. So now this is very important. You know the score here. We're going to ask you, when you were pregnant with your first, were you anti-vaccine?
I didn't really even know about anti-vax, to be honest. I just thought everyone vaccinated. My mum was a nurse. I just thought that's what you did as a good mother. And I took Billy in to just get his shots when they were due. Billy was born 3 weeks early and actually had a spontaneous pneumothorax and had to be on life support, and he had a ventilator.
Okay, tell us what that is, a spontaneous.
So a spontaneous pneumothorax is a tear in your lung, and they don't know why it happens.
Did you have any vaccines while you were pregnant?
Not when I was pregnant, but he did have the vitamin K once he was born.
Yeah.
And then once he was born, they were doing the checks on him, and then he started grunting. And then he was whisked away, and he was in intensive care for a week. But he still got his vaccination at 6 weeks, and we went through. And I just thought that's what you did. I was being a good mum, and my mum used nursed for a long time, and she said that's what I needed to do. At the same time, my younger sister had her son, and he got his first shot, and then he started screaming and wouldn't sleep for longer than 40 minutes. So she refused to have any more.
So she knew it was vaccines?
That was the only thing she could think that, might have. There was nothing else that sort of happened, but her husband has never been vaccinated. So they were quite open to not doing it. But at the time I was saying to her, well, you're just going to be banking on me and my herd immunity and all these things that you get, taught to say. Yeah. So I just vaccinated like I thought I should. Billy, from the time he was born, he just got chronically sicker with just...
Do you know what vaccines he had at 6 weeks? His first vaccines, do you know what they were?
I can tell you.
Yes,
so he had the DTaP, IPV, the hip hepatitis B, and the MENS. This is one for New Zealand because we had all the meningitis. So it was a MENZB. So I don't know.
Maybe the meningitis B. That's a lot for a 6-week-old
so
baby
that was
to
for
have.
6 weeks old. So
that's what England are doing now.
At 6 weeks old. So then he had double inguinal hernias repaired at 6 weeks old. Then he had chronic constipation. This child would not go to the toilet. He was breastfed. I breastfed him for almost 2 years. He got an anal biopsy done and had lumbar punctures, and also he's had so many procedures. But anyway, so 3 months he went and had all those again. 5 months the same again. 10 months he had that same meningitis one, which they no longer use in this country. And actually I'm pretty sure the year he had that, I think they stopped using it, I don't know why. But at 15 months he had his hip and MMR, and I would say within a few weeks I think he started having night terrors. He would scream, and it was like my child was possessed. His eyes would glaze over, and it was like he couldn't see me, and he would scream, "I'm gonna kill you," like he was possessed. And I'd have to lie on him, physically lie on him, and these episodes could last for an hour, which is a long time when a child is screaming like that. I actually recorded it on video, which I don't have. I wish I'd kept it, but to show my doctor, because I didn't think she believed how horrific it was. When I watched it the next morning with my husband, I cried. It was so traumatic. I deleted it. I couldn't bear to watch it. Then he'd gone out with his grandparents and had a grand mal seizure and was taken. They were opposite a clinic, so they were able to rush him across to this medical clinic, and he was sent to Starship. I didn't realise that leading up to this, he'd been having little seizures, but I didn't know, because I'd be like, "Billy," and he wouldn't really respond. It was like he wasn't there for maybe a minute or two. You know, it sort of took a long time for him to sort of engage. He would get really distressed by things if they weren't in the right order, or they thought they were going to diagnose him with Asperger's, but he was quite violent. You meet him earlier, and he's so lovely now, but I was very concerned at the time. He would sit and bite down on his fingers and then try and pull them out, and the skin would come off. It was just like he was raging inside, and I didn't know if it was pain and the doctors just didn't really have any answers for me. He went and had brain scans, and the lady, this was the first time I sort of thought, this is really weird, like he's gone and had this and all these things are starting to happen. And I said to the lady, when he was having a scan, could it be the vaccination? She went, "Oh, no, he's probably just dehydrated," is what she told me.
What, so he's doing like screaming and...
No, this was the grand mal seizure.
Grand mal seizures from dehydration.
From dehydration. Okay. And I looked at it and I said, but if he was dehydrated, he wouldn't have had wet pants or a nappy or, you know, like I think I would have known if he was suffering from dehydration to the point that he would have a seizure. He had no fever at the time, so it was no medical, like he just had the seizure out of nowhere, and it was quite violent. His grandparents, they don't really, they sort of downplay things, and they were very shaken up. His knees, you know, like he really had quite a bad one. And then after that, after I'd been seeing the doctors, then I realised he was having these little ones. So he was under a neurologist at Starship, and we were trying to discuss, you know, all of these, the screaming. He'll go to bed nice and happy, and then he'd just wake up in the night and he'd just scream and scream and scream. He had lots of other problems, constipation, like he never seemed to be able to go to the toilet. So, you know, but it was sort of like, oh, it's just a really difficult case, you know, there's a lot of unusual things, we're not sure really, and it was almost like we just sort of got discharged, don't know sort of thing. And since then, actually go on through, so I sort of started to wonder about vaccinations at that point. I had delayed vaccinations because I had my second son, Ollie, and I delayed his because I was a little bit nervous. I was thinking, you know, what's happening here? And so he just got his, but he got them instead of at birth, he had his at 6 weeks.
He had his vitamin K.
He had vitamin K at birth, yeah.
And then he had his 6 weeks at
3 months, and then he had his 3 months at 5 months, and has, you know, sort of delayed it out a bit. And I declined because at this point, see, they've changed it. They no longer did that meningitis one. Now we've got this PVC7. Now, luckily, I had a really amazing midwife, and I said, I'm really feeling uncomfortable. about these, you know, what's happening with Billy. And she said, well, maybe just don't do that one. So luckily Ollie didn't get that one, but he did get the DTaP, the hepatitis and the B and the Hib. So he got those 3. One day I'm at home and I get a knock at the door, and I open the door and there's these 2 ladies dressed in black. I remember them in black, with black sort of briefcase things. And it was really quite intimidating. I had no idea they were coming, and they said, oh, we need to come and talk to you. And they sort of just came into my house. I remember sort of not really inviting them, but they were in my lounge. And they were here to vaccinate my kids.
What? So 2 ladies in black with briefcases.
Yeah, I'm not
knock
even
on your
sure.
door and
I
want
think
to come
it's
in and
the
vaccinate your kids.
House DHB. I don't even know.
But wait, why were they there? Who sent them
So
there?
there'd been a measles outbreak of maybe 10 kids or something in West Auckland. I don't know. They just turned up. They turned up at my house, so it was the 12th of the 7th, 2011. They turned up at my house. I was speaking to one while the other one herded my Ollie off into the corner.
No.
And I started arguing with this lady about Billy. And I said to her, he's been having seizures. Like, you can't vaccinate him. Can you promise me that if you inject him with another MMR that he's not going to have seizures? She said, there's no side effects. And I started, so at that point, I found this, it was really intimidating, I have to say.
She took this again, just to say, she told you there's no side
No,
effects
she
to
said
the
there's
MMR vaccine.
No, there's no side effects. And I said, well, my son had an MMR, and after that I started going through, he's had seizures. He's been under the care at that time by a neurologist at Starship. They're trying to figure out what's wrong. Can you promise me, can you write down and promise me that if you inject him with another MMR, that nothing's going to happen to him? I started getting quite aggressive, I guess. I started to get really upset about it.
Did they have a warrant come into your house?
No, they didn't. And again, it was not, they had not made an appointment, so I was really off guard. At the same time I'm arguing with her, the other one just quietly said to me, well, can I vaccinate Ollie? And I said, I don't want him having an MMR. You can't vaccinate him with an MMR. And she was like, well, I'll just do this other one that he needs. So I don't know.
So wait, there's a measles outbreak, so they're at your house to vaccinate for measles.
They shot Ollie up with, I think, a Hib. I'm not actually sure because I don't have the sticker, so all she's done is written a code. I don't even know, it could have been MMR. I'm not sure.
As someone quite rightly says, who are they?
Who are they? I don't know.
You still don't know who they are.
They could have been anyone coming injecting anything into my children. Like, I just...
Did they not tell you who
I
they were?
think they had a, no, I think she did have a health DHB thing on her.
Anyone could come to your door, dressed in black, with a sticker on their side.
I know.
And look how much they frighten us.
They frighten us. So anyway, so whilst I'm arguing, the lady that I'm arguing with about Billy, so I wouldn't have got Ollie vaccinated, I had decided, but they shot him up with this because I was sort of too busy dealing with thinking that Billy was my big issue. She then got on the phone to someone because I said, I want you to write and say that and sign off to say that he's not going to have anything else happen. She was on the phone for quite a long time, in which case Ollie started screaming because she'd shot him with this Hib. So I then went to Ollie feeling like, what is going on here? She got off the phone and she said, okay, so I've talked to, I don't know who she talked to, and that yes, some children can have seizures and we've decided not to vaccinate Billy. They'd decided to not vaccinate Billy.
So we've gone from there are no side effects to...
some children do have seizures from it. So she did say some children have seizures from it. And I just was like, oh my God, so you were going to, if I'd listened to you the first time, you would have shot Billy with another MMR, told me that there would have been no side effects, and who knows what would have happened to him. After that, within 4 weeks, my Ollie could no longer talk. He was counting. I've got it all in his well-typed book. All the words he was saying. My mum and I used to walk up the stairs and he would count the steps. And then all the names and everything. And then in my notes I have Ollie is babbling like a baby. Everything was gone. And the paediatrician told me that that was normal for autism. I don't know how you can have a child that's just progressing and how they just think it's normal that then for no reason they just stop talking.
So what they're saying to you is there's no side effects to the vaccines, they're safe and effective.
Sorry.
And then when your child stops talking, oh, your child has autism, that's normal and it's genetic.
So it was within weeks.
Good God, these people.
Within weeks of them turning up to is the biggest regret. I mean, I regret what's happened to Billy, but Ollie is being diagnosed with severe autism. I homeschool them now because I can't send him to school. He's lovely. He's the light of my life. He's my sunshine. He has no concept of time. Sorry.
You're fine.
So he doesn't know the difference between tomorrow, a week, a year. Like he's 8. Ollie messes his pants once or twice a day to the point they have to shower him clean. He just doesn't seem to understand when his body is going. He masks it really well, so he can talk now. I had a tutor, like you do when your child's like that, you try and go all out to get them talking. So he can communicate now, but he doesn't have a good understanding of the world, I would say. So when you sit and have a conversation with him, and even my husband, we were joking the other day, so Ollie said, oh Mum, can we have mashed potatoes and our not chicken, because we have vegetarian, not chicken, chicken, and can I have maple syrup and nuts? So I know Ollie now that maple syrup means gravy and nuts means peas, because none of his words come out from what he thinks to what comes out of his mouth isn't always accurate. So he is permanently brain damaged. I think it brain damaged him. They came and shot him up while I was being railroaded into trying to force, and while I was really worried about Billy and all his chronic health problems. They shot Ollie in the corner of my room, and I lost him. People say to me, you don't know it's vaccines, can't prove it. I actually got told by a doctor that I'd have to prove it. And I'm like, well, how do I prove it, other than me telling you that in my book here that I've got all the things he was saying, all the things he was doing, and then 4 weeks from that time, it went just everything's gone. How is that not enough evidence to possibly look at that?
Well, that's why we're doing this, because you don't have to prove to them. We know. Everybody here who's watching you now knows. In fact, I think Periscope has so severely been censored since you talked about these people coming to your house. What's happened to your boys is nothing short of murder of the brain. It's disgusting.
yeah, Ollie's brain damaged. He is absolutely brain damaged. And my mother and I know my husband and I have to work to make sure that Ollie will always be cared for. He had psychological testing done that said that he would be so severely taken advantage of because of he's borderline on mentally handicapped, just from his level of understanding. He doesn't understand, you know. So I have to make sure that he's set up for life, and that his brothers, thankfully Billy's mentally is okay, even though physically he is chronically sick. He has bowel problems, he has chronic pain and vomiting and nausea every week. He is sick. He sleeps with a bucket by his bed, and so and the doctors don't know, they can't help me, and I'm sitting here thinking, what am I supposed to do? I don't even know where to go anymore. I don't know how to help my children. And then I have Eli, who hasn't been vaccinated, but he did have the vitamin K. And this child just doesn't get sick. He didn't all of a sudden stop speaking at 2 years old, or he's just healthy.
Has he got any of the conditions of your vaccinated children?
No, and he doesn't even get sick. He doesn't have, like, the look at my book.
How old is he?
4. Look at, this is Ollie's. This is just paediatrician things. Look at Billy's, and Billy's is actually in a file upstairs because his is so bad. All the paediatrician notes and things for him.
And what have you got for the other child, the unvaccinated child?
Nothing. He's had antibiotics once from his skin. He got infected, and actually looking back, he could have just had some honey on it. Probably it would have cleaned up, or antibiotic cream even at best.
Now, do you have the same dad for all 3 children?
Yes, same father. Now, I was vaccinated, but obviously we weren't vaccinated with quite as much. My mother thinks that if the information being around, that I would have been diagnosed with Asperger's or autism. I used to try and drown myself in the bath when I was a very little girl, and had very extreme behaviours. Mum just didn't, no one sort of knew anything about it, and I just was a difficult child. But it makes me wonder if those sorts of things were vaccine induced.
I mean, I think the most important part of your story is, you have 3 children, 2 vaccinated, 2 injured, 1 unvaccinated, not
and they're injured in very different ways too. They. I think I may have almost let it slide if it was just Billy, and then I'd vaccinated him maybe, but because they were both so badly. I mean, I have days where I've got Billy vomiting and he's feverish, and I can't even take him to the doctor because I know they're not going to help me. They'll just give him pain relief. And then I've got Ollie crying because he's in the toilet and he's messed himself and there's poo all over the floor. And I just get overwhelmed with, how did I get to
do you have any support?
No.
Do you in with the homeschooling peeps? Have you got any?
My homeschooling community here, absolutely amazing.
So you need medical, as in you need someone that can help with the gut issues and those kind of things?
I do, but it's financially. If you try to go natural, which is what I would do now, it is so expensive, and the government, so I'll tell you, when I went to see, it was a very nice paediatrician with Ollie. First, my kindy was saying that you need to take Ollie to see someone, and I knew myself that he wasn't right. The paediatrician spent 5 minutes at best, and he said, get him to draw a picture. Oh, he's got bad fine motor skills, but look, he looks handsome and he looks fine. he was making eye contact. There's nothing. I waited for another year to go back, and I saw the doctor. And the doctor looked at Ollie and was like, "Oh, right, you're back here again. Okay." He's like, "Oh, so how are you? And do you have any pets at home?" And Ollie went, "I've got a zebra." And he, "Oh, okay. And what other animals do you have at home?" "I don't know." And then, you know, obviously he started talking to Ollie, and then all of a sudden Ollie's not making sense. And then he said, asked him something, "What's 2 + 2?" And he said, 4 o'clock, or something like, you know.
Yeah.
And then he turned around and looked at me and said, "I'm so sorry. You should have had help all this time." And I said, "Yeah, I should have." And I said, "I'm really concerned that the vaccine," and he went, "Oh no, vaccines have never, ever had an adverse reaction." That was his words, and I could quote you like that. And I just looked, and I knew there's no point saying anything. I now know there's no point with certain people to even go any further with it.
People have got to start recording their visits to these GPs and paediatricians. They have to do that. We have to hear them saying this. It's absurd. And because I know because I have friends who've had adverse reactions. I have a friend in Australia whose daughter went into anaphylactic shock at 72 hours after her 6-week jab, and they told her it wasn't vaccine related because it wasn't within 48 hours. So what kind of help do you need? You need help with his gut. You need help with
I need to know what I need to do for Billy for the pain.
Yeah,
he's in excruciating pain, and I as a mother, when they're crying and you can see and he's sweating and then he's driving, you know, like I just don't know what to do, and I feel like I did this to him. And
okay, so first of all, you didn't because you were lied to. You didn't go out to hurt your child. None of us did. We went out we did as we were told.
Yes, I know. But you still still have the guilt.
It's never going to go away.
It's never ever going to leave me. And Ollie, that day when they turned up, that was unlawful to do that to me. And it was, people were shocked when I tell them. When I say, well, I had 2 people turn up to vaccinate my children in my own home with no appointment. And people were like, no. I was like, yes, they did. That's what happened to me. It happened to me. West Auckland.
It's barbaric. Okay, so we'll get you with Erin afterwards and she can help. She will help. Thumbs up she's put over there, okay? See? There are some very good people in New Zealand. We just got to get everybody connected.
Yes, I think that we've quite... and then everyone is in fear because the media has been really brutal. I don't watch the news anymore. I get fed up of you feel you can't tell your story because you get basically you're stupid. So Hilary Barry, one of the main news presenters here, came out and said people that parents that don't vaccinate are stupid. It's like a form of bullying, I think, in New Zealand we're very good at.
You really have to turn the mainstream. The mainstream media is the farmer. It's farmer media.
I know, and that's why. But you know, occasionally I see it through social media or whatever.
Okay, this is your new media. Okay,
yes.
Here, these peeps here who are sending you lots of love and heart. This is your new media. You really must not turn on the news. It's literally farmer funded. It's farmer news.
Yeah, I realise that, and I try and explain that to people as well now. And I never want to say to people to do something or not to do something. I just tell people my story, and people are generally quite shocked at especially the visit, and then Ollie losing everything and all of these illnesses. And so my son can't swim in the lake here, this beautiful lake, because he also gets unknown rashes. His skin is covered, so it's really horrible. And if we swim at the beach, which is salt water, different, same thing, he gets big welts. We've had lots of unknown rashes and things for Billy. He gets his ears get really itchy and they swell up. You know, all these random things, and then doctors will say, well, that's not got anything to do with this, and it's like, well, why is all this happening to him?
Yeah, it's just lies, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Now talk to us a little bit more about your unvaccinated child. How is the mental development of the unvaccinated child?
Sharp as a tack. He is, and it's just so markedly, the differences between his health is so shocking. Like, there's no ear infections, there's no, like, he's just so healthy. He's so healthy. He doesn't stop. He's full on, like, in some cases, just like...
I think we've heavily established that vaccines cause ear infections. Fact.
Yeah.
Vaxxed study.
Yeah. So Billy's constantly got tonsillitis. That's another thing, tonsillitis. And, Ollie often does too, but Ollie has a pain threshold, which is really weird, so he won't even complain. And it won't be that I'll be taking Billy and they'll look at Ollie as well and go, oh God, look at his throat. But he won't have mentioned anything. But Eli has never had anything like that. He's just, it's really bizarre to me. I mean, it's not bizarre, it's obvious. It's obvious that pumping my children with, I don't even know why I didn't even stop and think about what I was injecting. And then, like you say, these two people that turned up, they could have been anyone, and they have the tag and they come in and inject what? They could have injected anything into Ollie.
You didn't know, so you did the best you could. You were a brilliant mum. Look, your homeschooling, you've got charts everywhere. It's all like it's like being in a mini school here.
Yeah, well,
it's fantastic.
Ollie can't read yet, but we're slowly getting there, and he's 8. But I have to make choices that I couldn't send him to school. It would have been brutal for him.
Yeah, they're brutal places anyway, and they're not safe at the moment in public schools.
And New Zealand I feel sorry for the teachers because they don't get enough funding. That he wasn't going to get any help at school. The only help he would have got was because he was still missing his pads, not because of his diagnosis.
I know, and I've been on the road a long time, and I will tell you that the most advanced are the unvaccinated homeschool kids. A new fact.
Yeah, hands down.
Hands down.
The community here are amazing. There's like 60 plus families, and it's getting bigger and bigger here. It's amazing. Downstairs we have a giant Lego robotics table, and all the kids come and they do robot. We try our best to offer them what we can. I never thought I would have this path. I thought my children would be off to school, and everything would just be, they would be fine, and this is what life's handed me. So have to make the best of it.
Well, you're great. You're doing great. You stopped vaccinating. Think if we hadn't had these injuries, we'd still be vaccinating now, and it would be a lot worse. So a lot of our family now have stopped because of what they've seen too.
Also, I want to point out my auntie passed away 2 years ago. She was in childcare forever, and her daughter, she had said to her when she'd had her children, who are sort of 7 and 4, like my 2 youngest, to vaccinate them. And she'd started looking. She said, you need to research this. And she said, I have so many mums over the years that have come into childcare and said, since my child has been vaccinated, they've never been the same, or had stories that mothers have said to my auntie over the years in childcare. And so she had started getting my cousin to look into, and she thankfully didn't vaccinate. And my cousin's actually been a great help to me when things started to go wrong, to make my decisions to not carry on and to fight, like when these people turned up to not vaccinate Billy. I just wish, because I wasn't prepared, that was why they caught me off guard. I would never have done that vaccination for Ollie, and he may still have been, but I can't being done now. So, oh, sorry.
That's okay. Come here, you pretty little
There's
pussy
cats up there. Yeah, so I now tell everyone to research, look at the ingredients and really do your homework, because you can't undo it. You can't undo it once it's in. You can't take it out.
And people, I don't care what country you're in, people can't just walk into your house and vaccinate your children. That's got to be a gross misconduct.
I mean, that's completely...
Yeah, and I think I didn't even necessarily give the okay as to what she, you know, like I was so busy arguing with the other lady, I hadn't even looked at the books, because obviously I didn't know they were coming, and so she'd taken his book, you know, and I was like, well, he can have the third one of the ones he's been having, but that wasn't what she gave him anyway. So I think what they did was illegal. I actually don't know. I didn't give proper consent, because it wasn't about Ollie. I was sort of sidetracked, you know. Really, it was a very horrible experience. Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you so much for telling us. So sorry about what happened to your boys.
My husband's very worried about what might happen by me doing this too, here in this country.
Erin, they're fine here, aren't they?
Yeah.
Erin says nothing.
He's like, oh, what if they take our kids away?
Erin,
Nothing.
see,
Yeah.
you take Erin's number. And
But I don't. I'm so the opposite in that I'm like, well, I need to say, because even if someone doesn't do one, you know, I'll be like, yay, because I think they need to.
Well, we really thank you for telling us story. It's a very important story, and you will help so many from telling your story. We thank you so much.
Thank
and it's
you.
the same story all around the world.
Yeah.
I don't even know that they would even be able to count how many are damaged and injured from vaccines.
I go to kindy and I look around at all the kids with eczema covered faces, and the amount of children that now require EpiPens and go into anaphylactic shock, and I can't remember going to school and even having any friends like that, where you couldn't take peanuts and you couldn't take eggs, or there was nothing, there was no, the sickness, our kids are all sick.
Yeah, they are. It's disgraceful.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you so much, and thank you for letting us into your house and giving us lovely coffee, into your school, and you're doing such a good job. Amazing. I've met Billy, he's wonderful.
Yeah.
What a lovely, lovely boy, doing a fantastic job. And you're a naughty pussycat. Yes, you are.
He just wants to be in the limelight.
Black cat. Okay, guys, we will come on